Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi with Retail Insider. Joining me today is Ryan Gubic, who is founder and financial advisor with MRG Wealth Management in Calgary. Thanks for joining us today, Ryan.
Thanks for having me, Mario.
Well, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about a survey that was recently put out by FP Canada, and it has implications obviously for consumers out there and for the retail sector in general. Money is a top source of stress for Canadians. 38% feel this way right now, nearly twice as much as things like personal health, relationships, work, etc. Why is money such a stressor right now for Canadian consumers and Canadian public?
Well, for multiple reasons, Mario, and I don't think it's just right now. So for the fifth time running that FP Canada has done this survey, financial stress has been one of the top stressors that have been ranked from survey respondents. So it's a reoccurring stressor that many Canadians are dealing with. And predominantly, some of the reasons why it's such a top ranked stressor is it's top of mind and impacts all aspects of someone's life. It quite often impacts their health, it impacts their relationships, it impacts their future. And because of that, it's a top stressor for many Canadians.
So when we look at it, some of the things Canadians are worrying about is what they're paying at different places. So grocery prices, for example, 68% are worried about that, 56% worried about gas prices. And anybody who's gone to fill up their tank lately, no matter what part of the country you're at, I can feel it. 55% are worried about the impact of inflation on goods and services. That's a lot to take in, isn't it, in terms of the cost of living?
Yes, we're at a 30-year high for inflation in Canada right now. And when you're looking even broader in North America, our neighbors down south are in a similar spot. Inflation is, basically eroding the purchasing power that many Canadians have with their disposable income, and also impacting retirees substantially that are on a fixed income.
Yeah, exactly. So when we look at, obviously this stress, 35% say it's leading to anxiety, depression, and mental health challenges. Is this a typical response to stress when it comes to money?
Absolutely. For many Canadians, the emotional stressors turn into physiological forms, impacting their life. So yeah, like I mentioned earlier, it quite impacts, the physical being of someone. You just mentioned the mental health and of course the mental aspects. It impacts other areas with their relationships, quite often at their jobs, with their families, friends, and so forth.
Yeah. So when you look at, a couple of things that, Canadians and Canadian consumers are doing, and this will have an impact on obviously businesses out there and retailers out there, but more people are tracking their expenses these days, 44% up. Why are they doing that?
Well, for many different reasons, but one of the largest is that it helps reduce that main stressor that we're talking about of financial stress. Knowing where you're at in your financial life empowers you then to make smart decisions, to make changes. Budgeting can either help you know that you're on track with your spending and your goals, or identifies gaps you have, and then you can have the information you need to make decisions. The other big piece, part of this survey was working with a trusted professional. So those that worked with a certified financial planning professional or a qualified associate financial planner were less than half as likely to cite money as their top source of stress. And part of that is because these type of professionals help work with different tools and systems, such as budgeting, to understand, why is the stress, why do you have that financial stress, and empower the Canadians with what they can do to change that.
37% say they've saved more money. And this is something that's kind of interesting out there, right? Because what we've heard out in the past 2 years is, people have not traveled much. There's been many lockdowns and closures, back and forth. So the ability to spend money has been taken away in many ways, right? So a lot of pent up demand there with savings. What do you expect people to do with that? Do you think they'll just keep it as a little nest egg, or do you think they'll go out and spend? We see retail sales are doing pretty good right now.
Well, I think we've seen a combination, and I think we're going to continue to see a combination of a couple of different items. One, as you mentioned, there is a lot of pent up demand to go on vacation, spend time with family and friends, fly and see people that you haven't been able to physically see in a while. So there's increased spending, and that's also part of the kind of inflationary pressures that we're seeing right now. I think the other aspect is people have looked at their way of life, and many people have changing work environments, whether that be virtual work or hybrid work. Some have been going back to the office full-time as well, but I think it's been getting a lot of Canadians to think about the life they want to live. And with that ties into some of the savings they've accumulated and looking at future plans, whether that be retirement or other goals, and how they want to use their money to live the life that they want to live.
Yeah. It's not like it doesn't seem like it's something that they're going to salt away and put away and never touch, right? Canadians like to spend money and will continue to do so, I would imagine, right? But maybe more frugally, or maybe more judiciously.
Life is quite often all about balance. So yeah, we make money so that we can enjoy today. And then for those that are budgeting and saving, you put some away so you can enjoy tomorrow as well. So I think you're going to see a combination across Canada. I think there's more and more questions around financial literacy topics and financial security, which is good. The more questions people are asking, and the more specifically, the more answers they're getting, the more they're empowered to make smart decisions that impact their family's financial future.
Okay, Ryan, last question I had for you is, when you look at some of this data and the survey data that we have on the mental frame of mind of Canadians, what are some of the piece of advice you would give to people who are stressing out right now about their finances, or stressing out about money?
Yeah, take action. My advice to many Canadians that are concerned, worried, stressed, quite often it leads to unanswered questions that they have in their head, and they don't know where to turn or how to answer those questions, which increases the level of stress. So my recommendation is to reach out to a trusted professional. Number one, to get answers to those unanswered questions that you have. Because once you have the answers, then you can be equipped to make smart decisions and make changes. And sometimes those changes can happen right away. Sometimes those changes take time, but at least having a trusted professional or a partner that you're working with, answers to your questions. You mentioned budget, but another broader perspective would be a financial plan. Knowing where you're at, where you're currently projected to be, and what are your options to get maybe back on track if you're not on track. Empowers someone. It reduces the amount of stress, even just knowing what you need to do and having a plan or a roadmap to get you there. So that'd be my advice.
All right, super. Well, thanks, Ryan, for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me, Mario.
All right, that was Ryan Gubic, who is founder and financial advisor with MRG Wealth Management in Calgary. I'm Mario Toneguzzi with Retail Insider. Thanks for joining us today.